I just had somebody congratulate me on the marriage series that I done some time ago. And they said, man, Pastor Dow, you are a voice crying in the wilderness. Would you please speak something to that same vein again? I said, sure, I'll make a quick video. What's the problems? First of all, let's deal with the problems. Then that way we can have a reaction, and then hopefully we can prompt a solution. The problem of the day is that everything has been turned literally upside down. We've got a role reversal that is going on in society. Modern day marriage, especially statutory marriage by the state, is a bad deal. It's a very bad deal for man. Of course, then on the flip side, the feminists would say, most people are deceived by feminism because they think that feminism means equality for women. But no, it doesn't. It means total manipulation and domination and control and the exasperation of the man. That's what it means. So anyway, the first thing that men need to do is learn how to check women. You need to go ahead and from the very beginning of a relationship, you need to establish order right then and there. If you can't do that, that ain't the woman you need to be with. We got to understand that today there's been a social construct that has been there to manipulate, to coerce, and to dominate, and to actually literally tear down a man and make him something that's other than a man. I mean, he may have the anatomy of a man, but he's really feminine. A lot of men that are going to college today, which there really ain't too many, that mostly women are graduating college more than men are effeminate men. And you got very, very few men that actually want to actually do something with their lives nowadays. But the woman wants total domination and control. Now, the sad part about this is that if you go out and get a state marriage license, all right, you already have lost in the game. It's a bad deal for men. And of course, then on the flip side, women say, well, men, they get a responsibility and a rule of affection that they are desiring. They get love and they get children. Well, I beg to differ, because you can get affection and love and children in a relationship rather than going to a state marriage. Because you go to the state and you get married, you might as well just go ahead and, number one, admit who your authority is, daddy state. And then number two, you're getting ready to get jacked because the laws in this country is stacked against you. They are definitely against you 100,000%. And of course, with the advent of the Section 8 getting ready to be all but annihilated and stuff, it's going to force women into a humble road, those who have low income and low status and low state. Because men just simply are not going to be tolerating this stuff. We got groups coming up all over the place called MGTOW, men going their own way, men just simply saying, I done had enough of this, no more domination. And of course, you have women today who simply, they don't want a man for a husband. They want a man to be able to take away their reproach, but they have daddy state. If they got $23,000 a year, which is poverty level wages that they're making, then they can actually get an income or, some type of EBT cards, some type of payment or something from husband state or daddy state. And that's letting you know that they're doing everything they can to make sure that the woman today doesn't need to rely on the man whatsoever at all. Years and years and years ago, it used to be in this world, we had one income per household, and that was the medium family household, and it was all earned by the breadwinner, the man. Now that's done flipped. The script has done been flipped. You go out and get a woman now that's got education and she's educated, and if she's making $80,000 to $100,000 to $150,000 a year, what man she's going to find today making that kind of money? Since there's not many of them, they're opting out. They're not going to school. They refuse to be feminized, and they definitely not going to be dominated and controlled by a woman. And so what do you got to bank on then? Well, a lot of you women just going to end up dying alone. That's all there is to it, because that's just the way it is. There's a trade-off anytime you go against the natural order of things. But, I thank you for congratulating me for actually exposing the state marriage license and how much is don't get me wrong, there's some benefits in it. For instance, you get to take your children, go get a Social Security card, get a birth certificate, Social Security card, and you get to claim them on taxes each year. Well, only one problem though. What are you going to do when social worker come knocking at your door? And then they start telling you what all they're going to do with their children. You under the assumption that they are your children, but I assure you they're not your children, they are their children. And they're going to flex their muscles, and they're going to prove it to you too, just by you contracting with them. You see, all contracts in the United States of America are legal and binding. I don't care what court it is. You make a contract, you make an agreement, that's all that the courts are going to hear when you get there. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to honor what you give them, because you have to understand, if you're one individual and then you're going against, let me give you a hypothetical situation, a business. The state or the judges are automatically going to side with the state. You know the reason why? They bring in tax revenue for the state. You are just one individual person out of many. So it makes no difference that they fart and poop all over you and stuff, because that's all you are. You're nothing but more than a number. Don't take it personally. That's just the way that the game is. And that's why a lot of things in life you need to know how to navigate. You need to listen to somebody who knows what they're talking about. It can save both men as well as women a lot of heartache and trouble. So there's a spirit that ministers to women that, you know, you got safety and security if you go get that marriage license. No, you're not. You don't have safety and security. What you do is you have an illegal fiction that's trying to pose as a legal fiction, that's having jurisdiction, which you and I, if you decided to get a marriage license, we don't have any recourse whatsoever at all. We don't get to adjudicate those matters, and they don't hear us, because if the state licenses it, it sanctions it, and the state is the only authority that has the means to be able to dissolve any contract that it puts together. You just can't walk out on a relationship if one is being abused and one has been rebellious or whatever. Now, another thing I'm in this video with is just crazy. Check this out. There are men today, let's say if a 35-year-old woman goes out and have sex with a 14-year-old boy, and she ends up having a child by him, do you know, no matter what, if it's statutory rape or nothing, or who cares, that man is saddled with child support? But if you flip the script, and if it was a 35-year-old man that was actually having sex with a 14-year-old girl, you know what happens? It's called statutory rape, and you know what they do? They end up throwing that man in the can. So how is it that men all of a sudden have the intelligence to be able to know right and wrong in one instance, but then all of a sudden they dumbfounding a bunch of buffoons in another? It's amazing how we hold them to an accountability, or they know what they're doing when they're 14 years old, yet and still, you know just as well as I do that a lot of them don't even know how to piss straight.